Fáilte ród go dtí an ggólaíon an ucht sa Club na Mún Tóirí Baile Lia. You're very welcome to the Golian Traditional Singers session at the Teachers Club in Dublin. Our guests tonight are Paul and Deirdre Tobin, who live in Gorey.
No,
Curraclough in County Wexford. So we'll more about them later. In the tradition of the club, we usually start by asking a question related to Irish music or song, and then we call three singers to sing. So my question tonight, P.J. McCall, who was a Dublin man who was born in Patrick Street, he wrote Bull of Ogue and Kelly the Boy from Callan, two great Wexford songs. If you go to Crow Park and you hear the Artane Boys band playing Kelly's the Boy from the Callan, I don't know how anybody can ever beat Wexford after that. It's a real rousing march. Anyway, but P.J. McCall, he was also elected to Dublin Corporation in 1902, where he served for 3 terms. Now, my question is, what national historical figure did he beat in the election in 1902? And the second question is, what was his connection with Wexford? Yeah. James Connolly is right. He beat James Connolly. Yeah. His which? No, his mother actually. Yeah, his mother. Yeah. But his father, his father actually was from Carlow. So you know when you hear "Follow Me Up to Carlow," from Tassagart to Clonmore. So his father was from Clonmore. So he got the home place of the father into the song as well. So he's a great man anyway. Anyway, that's our question. Our 3 singers to start tonight. We're going to start with Maureen Ní Chrónaín, and we'll be followed by Anthony Hanrahan, who now lives in Renvoyle. He's a Dublin man. And Alison O'Donnell then will be third singer. So, Maureen Ní Chrónaín.
All honour to Oakleigh na Heron, all praise to the men of the race, who in times of betrayal and slavery saved Ireland from ruin and disgrace. But do not forget in your praisings of them and the deeds that they done, their loyal and true-hearted comrades, the soldiers of Cumann. They stand for the honour of Erin as their sisters in days that are done, and they'll march with their brothers to freedom, the soldiers of Cumann. No great-hearted daughter of Erin, who died for her sake long ago, who stood in the gap of the danger, defying the Sassenach foe, was ever more gallant and worthy of glory in high-sounding run than the comrades of Oakleigh na Heron, the soldiers of Cumann. They stand for the honour of Erin as their sisters in days that are gone, and they'll march with their brothers to freedom, the soldiers of Cumann. Oh, high beats the the heart of our mother. The day she has longed for is nigh, when the sunlight of joy and of freedom will shine in the eastern sky, and none shall be honoured more proudly on that morning by chieftain and clan than the comrades of Ogleen Erin, the soldiers of Cumann. They stand for the honour of Erin as their sisters in days that are gone, and they'll march with their brothers to freedom. She had Saiduri Cumann Aman. Sinead.
Anthony Hanrahan will sing next.
"'Twas on a summer's morning, and the flowers were a-blooming, oh. The meadows were adorning, and small birds sweetly tuning, oh. I met my love near Banbridge town, my darling blue-eyed Sally, oh. And she is the crown of the county Down, she's the flower of Maharali, oh. With admiration I did gaze upon this charming maiden, oh. Adam never was more struck when he saw Eve in Eden, oh. Her skin was like the lily white that grows in yonder valley, oh. And I think I'm blessed whene'er I'm nigh the flower of Maharali, oh. Her yellow hair in ringlets hung, her shoes were Spanish leather, oh. Her bonnet with blue ribbons strung, her scarlet scarf and feather, oh. Like Venus bright she did appear, my darling blue-eyed Sally, oh. And she is the one that I love dear, my flower of Maharali, oh. An Irish lad although I be, with neither wealth nor treasure, oh, but yet I love my true love dear, I love her beyond measure, oh. If I'd all the wealth that is possessed by all the men in Ireland, oh, I'd give it to her that I love best, my flower of Maharali, oh. Well, I hope the day will surely come when we'll join hands together, oh, and then I'll bring my true love home, in spite of wind and weather, oh. Oh, let them all say what they will, oh, let them reel and rally, oh. But I will wed the girl I love, my flower of Maharali, oh.
The morn is breaking bright and fair, and the lark sang in the sky. The maid, she bound up her golden hair, with a blithe glance in her eye. For who beyond the gay greenwood was awaiting her with joy? Oh, but a gallant Renadine on the mountains of Pomeroy. Full often in the dawning hour, full oft in twilight brown, he met the maid in the woodland bower, where the stream comes tumbling down. For they were faithful in a love no war could e'er destroy. No tyrant slaughtered Grenadine on the mountains of Pomeroy. An outlawed man in a land forlorn, he's going to turn and fly, but kept the cause of her freedom safe on the mountains of Pomeroy. Dear love, she said, I am sore afraid for the foeman's fierce and you. They have tracked you in the lowland plains and all the valleys through. My kinsman torn, when you are named, your life they would destroy. Beware, they say, of Grenadine on the mountains of Pomeroy. Fear not, sweetheart, fear not, he cried, fear not the foe for me. No change shall fall, whate'er betide, on the heart that would be free. So leave your cruel kin and come when the lark is in the sky. And it's with my gun I will guard you on the mountains of Pomeroy. An outlawed man in a land forlorn, he scorned to turn and fly, but kept the cause of our freedom safe on the mountains of Pomeroy. The moon has come, she rose and fled from her cruel kin and home, and bright the wood and rosy red, and the tumbling torrents foam. But the mist came down and tempest roared and did all around destroy. And a pale round bride met Grenadine on the mountains of Pomeroy. An outlawed man in a land forlorn, he scorned to turn and fly, but kept the cause of our freedom safe on the mountains of Pomeroy, but kept the cause of our freedom safe on the mountains of Pomeroy.
Our next three singers are Brian O'Tumon, Jerry O'Reilly and George Henderson.
How can I live at the top of a mountain without gold in my pocket or money for to count it? Oh, but I would let the money go, all for to please her fancy, and I'd marry no one but my bonny blue-eyed lassie. She's my bonny blue-eyed lassie, with an air so sweet and tender, her red rosy cheeks, and her waist so neat and slender. I'd roll her in my arms, and fondly I'd embrace her. Oh, but how can I love her when all my people hate her? And there's some people say she is very low in station, and more people say she'll be the cause of my ruination. nation. Oh, but let them all say what they will, for her I will prove constant still, and I'll marry no one but my bonny blue-eyed lady. And softly swims the swan by the dark hills of Ochil, and sweetly sings the nightingale, so happy to behold her. And the wind may blow, and the moorcocks crow, and the moon shall shine so deeply. Oh, but deeper by far is my love for my own lady. And there's some people say she is very low in station, and more people say she'll be the cause of my ruination. Oh, but let them all say what they will, to her I will prove constant still, and I'll marry no one but my bonny blue-eyed lady. Sinead.
This is one of the Easter week songs that wasn't sung last week. I'll sing you a song of the row in the town, when the green flag went up and the crown right came down. 'Twas the neatest and sweetest thing ever you saw, and they played the best game played in Erin go Bragh. 1,000 young men now of every degree, with their rifles and shotguns they swore to be free. And one fine Easter morning they laughed at the law, and they played the best game played in Erin go Bragh. God rest gallant Clark and his comrades who died, Tom Clark and MacDonough, MacDermott, MacBride. And here's to James Connolly, he gave one hurrah, and he faced the machine guns for Erin go Bragh. Brave Kent and his comrades like lions at bay, from the South Dublin Union poured death and dismay. And what was the wrath when those Englishmen saw all the dead khaki soldiers in Erin go Bragh? Here's to Ned Daly and all his command, from the forecourts to Broadstone their fighting was grand. For the might of the Empire they cared not a straw, and they played the best game played in Erin go Bragh. A young De Valera was down at Ringsend, for the honour of Ireland to hold and defend. He had no veteran soldiers, just volunteers raw, playing sweet Mauser music for Erin go Bragh. A brave English captain was raving that day. He said, "Give me an hour and I'll blow them away." But a big Mauser bullet got stuck in his craw, and he died of lead poisoning in Erin go Bragh. Here's to the men of the great rank and file, and the loyal-hearted women of Erin's green isle. May true men salute them in wonder and awe, the stoutest and bravest in Erin go Bragh. Well, all honours to Dublin, to hers their renown. In the long generations her fame will go down, and our children will tell how their forefathers saw the red blaze of freedom in Erin go Bragh.
Okay, this song needs an airing. at the turning of the century, or at the turning of the millennium, we held a weekend in Nina featuring a concert where songs were sung from every century, or every century from interruptions.
Sorry about that.
It was featuring a song from every century throughout the millennium, from the 11th century through to the 21st century. And I sang this song. And I was away for a few days after it, but Tom Munnelly had recorded it all. And he rang Frank McGrath, one of my mates in the Nina Singer Circle, and said, quote, "Where did George get his King Willie?" And Frank responded, "He was born with it." So this is Willie's Lady. King Willie, he sailed over the raging foam. He's wooed a wife and he's brought her home. He's wooed her for her long yellow hair. Her mother's robbed her a mighty care. And a weary spell she's laid on her. She'd been with child full long many's the year, and yet no child could she ever bear. And in her bower she lies in pain. King Willie at her bedhead he did stand, and down the cheeks his stolten tears did run. King Willie's back to his mother he has gone, and he's gone there as a begging son. Me true love has this fine golden girdle, set with jewels all around the middle. And from every part of this girdle's hem is hanging 50 silver bells, and 10 is hanging 50 bells and 10. This goodly gift shall be your own, if back to me own true love you'll come again, that she might bear a baby son. Oh, this child she ne'er shall lighter be, nor of sickness will she ever be free. But she will die, and she will turn to clay, and you will wed with another maid. And Sion said, this weary man is back to his own true love, he's come again. I wish me life was at an end. King Willie's back to his mother he has gone, and he's gone there as a begging son. Me true love has this fine noble steed, the likes of which you never have seen. And from every part of this horse's mane is hanging 50 silver bells, and 10 is hanging 50 bells and 10. This goodly gift shall be your own, if back to me own true love you'll come again, that she might bear a baby son. Oh, this child she ne'er shall lighter be, nor of sickness will she ever be free. But she will die, and she will turn to clay, and you will wed with another maid. And Sion said, this weary man is back to his own true love, he's come again. I wish me life was at an end. When up and spoke his noble queen, and she has told King Willie of a plan, that she might bear a baby son. Well, you must go, get you down to the marketplace. You must buy you a loaf of wax, and you must shape it as a babe that is to nurse, and you must make 2 eyes of glass. Ask your mother to a christening day, and you must stand there as close as you can be, that you might hear what she do say. King Willie, he's gone down to the marketplace, and he has bought him a loaf of wax, and he has shaped it as a babe that is to nurse, and he has made 2 eyes of glass. He's asked his mother to a christening day, and he has stood there as close as he could be, that he might hear what she do say. And how she stamped, and how she swore, she spied a babe where no babe there was before, she spied a child where none before. And who was it that undid the 9 witch knots braided in amongst this lady's locks? And who was it that took out the combs of care braided in amongst this lady's hair? And who was it slew the master kid that ran and slept all beneath this lady's bed, that ran and slept all beneath her bed? And who was it unlaced her left shoe? And who was it that let a lighter be that she might bear a baby boy? And it was Willie who undid the 9 witch knots braided in amongst this lady's locks. And it was Willie who took out the combs of care braided in amongst this lady's hair. And it was Willie slew the and it was Willie the master kid did slay, and it was Willie who unlaced her left shoe, and he has let her lighter be. And she has borne forth a baby son, and pray to the blessings that be them upon. Pray to the blessings them upon.
Now, our next 3 singers are 3 Ungolian regulars, Sean O'Harcon, Eamon Hunt and Mick Keeley.
Thanks. Hey, Cavan song.
The Garden of Eden has vanished, they say, but I know the lie of it still. Just turn to the left at the bridge of Finney, and stop when halfway to Good Hill. 'Tis there I will find it, I know sure enough, for fortune has come to my call. For the grass it is green around Ballyjamestown, and the blue sky is over it all. Still in tones that are tender and tones that are tough, still whispers come over the sea. Come back, Paddy Riley, to Ballyjamestown. Come home, Paddy Riley, to me. My mother once told me that when I was born, the day that I first saw the light, I looked down the street on that very first morn and gave a great crow of delight. Now most newborn babies are born in a huff and start life with a terrible squall. But I knew I was born in Ballyjamestown, and that's why I smiled on them all. The baby's a man now, he's toil-worn and tough, still whispers come over the sea. Come back, Paddy Riley, to Ballyjamestown. Come home, Paddy Riley, to me. Grandma.
Come all ye Cork and Wexford men, and Culshies everywhere, from where they bait the black and tans from Forth to Shalmalir. I'll sing a song not of ping pong, nor of cricket or lacrosse, but a rousing tale of the sporting gale at the Battle of New Ross. 'Twas October 1960, and Wexford were the champs. Cork took the train in wind and rain, with hurleys and with camps. The whistle blew and off she flew, half Munster for to cross. They did not know their blood would flow at the Battle of New Ross. The pitch was packed, the gates were locked, there were gamblers by the score. The odds were all on Wexford, they were giving threes and more. The ball was thrown, the game begun, with cheers and boolabos. Then Cork scored 3 and Wexford reeled at the Battle of New Ross. 'Twas then the ash began to clash, don't talk of Waterloo, or Moscow's plains, or Alamein, or the deeds of Brian Boru. Don't talk about the mariner who shot the albatross. They'd have no place on history's page with the hurlers of New Ross. Old Yankee Butler gave a shout and stared in wild surprise. He let his big cigar go out, saying, I can't believe my eyes, for I have rode in rodeos and broken many a horse, but they'd be tame in this great game at the Battle of New Ross. McGrath broke through, the goal was wide, and he was set to score. But Reardon struck a robust puck that put him on the floor. Now we must weep for Wexford, the ref was Pollard Moss. He was struck with stones, and we saw his bones at the Battle of New Ross. The pitch was rushed, and children crushed, and men bait black and sore. Both GAA and FCA no order could restore, though the police and the clergy used the baton and the cross upon the tribes of Ireland at the Battle of New Ross. Now we will not sing of Vinegar Hill, nor the blades of Bool of Og, the rifles of Kilmichael, Tom Barry, or Sean Og. But Father Murphy in his grave began to turn and toss when the pikemen met the gunmen at the Battle of New Ross. When the pikemen met the gunmen at the Battle of New Ross. Ooh.
Come all you lads and lassies, and listen to me a while. I'll sing to you a verse or two that'll surely make you smile. It's all about a young man, and I'm going to tell you now how he lately came a-courting the maid of the sweet brown now. He said, my pretty fair maid, will you come along with me? We'll both go off together, and happy we will be. We'll join our hands in wedlock bands as I'm speaking with you now. And I'll do my best endeavours for the maid of the sweet brown now. Well, this fair and pretty young maid, she knew not what to say. Her eyes, they shone like diamonds, and they merrily did play. She said, young man, your love subdue, 'cause I'm not ready now. And I'll spend another season at the foot of the sweet brown now. He said, my pretty fair maid, how can you answer so? Look down in yonder valley where my crops do gently grow. Look down in yonder valley, I have horses, men and plough. And they're at their daily labour for the maid of the sweet brown now. Well, if they're at their daily labour, kind sir, it is not for me. I've heard of your behaviour, I have indeed, said she. There is an inn where you call in, and I've heard the people say, and you rap and you call and you pay for all, and you're home at the break of day. Well, if I rap and I call and I pay for all, me money is all me own. I will not spend your fortune, for I hear you have got none. You thought you had me poor heart won by meeting with you now. Well, I leave you where I found you, and the foot of the sweet brown now.
Man,
Now it's time for our guests. Paul and Deirdre Tobin are living in Wexford, and we met them recently on our Zoom session during COVID. For 2 years we ran Zoom sessions, and they became regulars on the Zoom session. And so it's great to have some of those people who made those sessions so lively to be our guests here tonight. Deirdre is originally from Ballyjamesduff, and you heard Sean O'Harcoin serenading her there a while ago on that front. And I noticed Paul played with Lucan Sarsfield, a team I played for myself when he was living here in Dublin. So, yeah. But I have a confession to make. My father and mother are Wexford, and the hurling is in me from that county. When I was 8 years of age, Wexford won and beat Cork in 1956. They stopped poor old Christy Ring getting his 9th All-Ireland medal, and Nicky Rackard got his second one instead. But all my uncles came up. They were giants of men. I always remember they all arrived in the house, and the crack with them was just mighty. My first cousin was Martin Codd, who scored 2 points in that match, and it was great. So it's great. We're delighted to welcome Paul and Deirdre.
Thanks very much, Frank. Well, it's just wonderful to be here. It's a long time since we were at the Goaling in person, and as Frank said, we were part of the wider Goaling community for a couple of years there, and bloody grateful for it. We were too. It was great to have it on a Friday night. We were laughing coming up in the car today. We were just thinking the first time we were ever in this room, I'd say, was about 30 years ago, maybe a bit more. We had been learning to dance sets with Jerry O'Reilly and them over in Henrietta Street, and they had a dance, had a Cayley, And at this point, we knew one set, the Jenny Lind set, I think it was. And so we said we'd come in anyway. We're sitting off listening to the music. It was grand. We said, we call our set now, we're there. And at one point, anyway, Deirdre went to the toilet. Within 30 seconds, they called our set. And by the time she came out, the first figure of the set was nearly over. We were only married a couple of years at that stage, nearly finished the set. Anyway.
We survived.
Yeah. The McGrath mentioned in your song, Eamon, was the famous Hopper McGrath, Oliver McGrath. He's alive. I'm glad to report he's alive and well and living in the parish at home. As feisty as ever, and he's well in his 80s. So anyway, I'll start off with a song. It's a very local song to us, and it's most of you probably never heard it before. So it's a short little song. It's a kind of a curiosity piece, really. I found it in the local history book that my father put together. God rest him. Though I could find no record of anybody ever singing it, so I borrowed an air from Percy French and I put a bit of a chorus to it because it fitted it. And it's called Johnny Codd's Election Song. And it's about a local fella from a neighbouring townland called Ardcullen, who stood in the first local government elections following the Local Government Act of 1898. He stood for the district council. And this song was written, on the face of it, it's a sort of an election manifesto in the song. I'd say it was really written to take the piss out of him, But anyway, whatever it was worked, because he got elected. He got 80-something votes, and that was self-elected. O men of Castlebridge, so famed in song and story, for bravery on the battlefields of Owler, Till and Gorey, you fought in 98 for freedom, faith and sire land. You're called to fight again, alas, unhappy Ireland. The elections now are on, come hark to your country's call. Let every man come know himself next Thursday at the poll. Now vote for Mr. Codd, all you who toil and labour. You'll find in him a firm friend, a comrade and a neighbour. From all corners of the district they will come this fateful hour to put Johnny Codd with the help of God in the corridors of power. Come one, come all next Thursday, whether barefoot or well shod. Your mark to make for history's sake for Ardcullen's Johnny Codd. He's promised to get you many things, a few of them I'll mention. But before I put them down in rhyme, I crave for your attention. A footpath into Wexford town, a railway to Blackwater, and each and every labouring man will marry a farmer's daughter. And every man will prove his worth come harvest or haymaking. You'll get the tay 3 times a day and heaps of Irish bacon. He promises sincerely no apologies nor pardon for every family badly housed, a cottage and a garden. From all corners of the district they will come this fateful hour to put Johnny Codd with the help of God in the corridors of power. Come one, come all next Thursday, whether barefoot or well shod. Your mark to make for history's sake for Ardcullen's Johnny Codd. He'll get you grants of Pierce's tools to assist with cultivation, King Edward's seed and British Queens in generous allocation. We look for prosperous times ahead under Mr. Codd's promotion, an ass and car in every home and a bike for locomotion. So come out and vote next Thursday, whether single, wed or spinster. Is this the start of history's road to put Johnny in Westminster? And from that London base he'll fight the Home Rule cause that need him. Give Irish men the right to rule, speaks Johnny Codd for freedom. From all corners of the district they will come this fateful hour to put Johnny Codd with the help of God in the corridors of power.
flower. Come one, come all next Thursday, whether barefoot or well shod. Your mark to make for history's sake, for our columns, Johnny Conn.
Now, I'm going to start off with The Flower of Finney, which I first heard on an album by Niamh Parsons. And of course, when I saw Finney, I thought of Ballyjamestuff, Turned to the Left, so it intrigued me. And then it mentioned Loch Sheelan, so it's all very close to where I was brought up from at home. And then when I heard Niamh Parsons' song, I just fell in love with it. I always loved it, and I thought I'll never learn that. It's a big, long, epic song, you know, but I worked on it and I did, you know, and that's one of my favourite songs. So I'll give it a go. Bright red is the sun o'er the waves of Loch Sheelan. A cool, gentle breeze from the mountain is streaming, while fair round its islets the small ripples play. But fairer than all is the flower of Finney. Her hair is like night and her eyes like grey morning. She trips o'er the heather as if its touch scorning, yet her heart and her lips are as mild as May Day. Young Eilidh McMahon, the flower of Finney. But who down the hillside than Red Deer runs fleeter? And who on the lakeside is hastening to greet her? Who but Fergus O'Farrell, that fiery young gay, the darling and pride of the flower of Finney. One kiss and one clasp and one wild look of gladness. But why does it change all a sudden to sadness? He has told his sad fortune he can no longer stay. He must leave his poor Eilidh alone in Finney. For Fergus O'Farrell was true to his sireland, but the dark hand of tyranny drove him from Ireland. He joins the brigades in the wars far away, but he vows he'll return to the flower of Finney. He fought at Cremona, she hears of his story. He fought at Cassano, she's proud of his glory. Yet sadly she sings Shularoon all the day. Oh, come home, my darling, come home to Finney. 8 long years have passed and she's nigh broken-hearted. Her reel and her rock and her flax she has parted. She sails with the wild geese to Flanders away, and leaves her sad parents at home in Finney. Lord Clare on the field of Ramillies is charging. Before him the Sassenach squadrons enlarging. Behind him the cravats their section display. Beside him rides Fergus and shouts for Finney. On the slopes of La Joutoine the Frenchmen are flying. Lord Clare and his squadron the foe still defying. Outnumbered and wounded retreat in array, and bleeding rides Fergus and thinks of Finney. In the cloisters of Ypres a banner is swaying. Beside it a pale weeping maiden is praying. This flag's the sole trophy of Ramillies fray. This none is poor Eily, the flower of Finney.
Right, sure, Deirdre, Cian Gaelgan Tomsha, Kunde Wio. I have a kind of an emotional attachment to this song since I was a teenager, because the short story by Mac Peirish, Breeding and Oram, was on our intercert. I'm kind of dating myself now doing my intercert. But and it was about an old woman from Connemara who walks to Dublin to sing at the Oireachtas, and she sings Kunde Wio, and she goes over in a heap and dies, and it's kind of allegorical, I think. But anyway, it made a big impression on a sort of a dopey young fella like me, so I had a sort of an attachment to the song. Agus le stáil mé le sergeant gal shráid a bhaile mhór agus chuir sé sin thar sáile mé mar bhí mé bochtóg Hug sé ginni buin scachel dóiblam agus rifle me hardal ach a dúirt me leis gomarlam venéiren gomór Ser an linge se fadilintse Scienans me an bron Egos nilin saniche Sgash stiri gal salo Ach yn y sio galw meintin Is me fel wadom o winter Ar mockle smach in him me Egonde wio Agus marach bas
mawashin, Shavain Shemagalor, Vach Boydzelins Chain Live Lum, Smea Golo Durbanog, Achashiro Nagarti, Sans Liver Sneer Santa Cruz a doghen, Machra Flin Wood. Skadaga kruk na kruche, koert gan nauen war. Agus akel ga kuluchra, bochelacht na mo. Skadaga kruk vin leve, skadit shilach erne, Gadag shinni eker me egon de wio. Staba is a queer bana, egma winter some wio. Is mission shalom pain for ear, fwy okracht is fwy vron. Snacham I bochel muntan, is kalin sucker swevnach. Vacham le meiachine egon de wio. Snacher kruk na karun kyle vin san shimse is an sport. Bin kerkes kali friachan, sid gashiri shenem kjol. Bin smere do krivan, spien ola kura buian. Bin geimrach bo is lion, tiach di yele mwede war. Sacham radin dilshe, ta me kraite gemor. Sjálme vilten sjøkar skis rødt, fwy rafrien røm av rån. Achos tøses tuske hies, wadden gøm av winter. O tuer ma vanach shirlat gakun de wio.
Now the next one I'm going to sing is has another floral theme. It's the blooming flower of Grange. And I got this one from Paddy Berry, the irrepressible Paddy Berry in Wexford. And he got it from a fella called Jim Casey from Carriganbano in 1977. Some people in Carlow claim it as a Carlow song and they put in the Carlow references, but Paddy claims it as a Wexford song, so that's good enough for me. It was in the blooming summertime, when fields and meadows are in their prime. To take the air I was inclined, and carelessly did range, where primrose pale and violets blue and daisies o'er the meadows grew. My onward course I did pursue, till I arrived in Grange. It was there I spied a neat abode, a sunny cottage by the road, wherein a damsel sat and sewed, her beauty could change man's darkest sorrow into bliss, had he a moment to caress, and through life's journey to possess the blooming flower of Grange. Her eyes, they glittered like the stars that we call Mercury and Mars, or those bright comets from afar in their celestial reign. Heaven above was a glorious sight, and the moon shone down its beaming light, for to illume this beauty bright, the blooming flower of Grange. Her amber locks in ringlets thick flowed freely round her snow-white neck, and the rose that bloomed upon her cheek no winter wind could change. In sudden raptures of delight, I then approached this beauty bright, and my heart was stopped at the first sight of the blooming flower of Grange. I said, my blooming flower dear, if you affection with me share, I solemnly now do declare your state I wish to change. While life shall animate thy breast, I love, respect, and I'll do my best to keep your gentle mind at rest, my blooming flower of Grange. Kind sir, she said, your offer's good, and I would embrace it if I could, although I feel my parents would our union disarrange. Though 18 summers I have seen, a lover yet I have not been. Therefore I cannot be your queen, said the blooming flower of Grange. 'Tis sad, my love, for to say farewell, and the pain I feel no tongue can tell. Those heavy thoughts I can't dispel that in my bosom reign. All for the want of free consent, I'm doomed in exile to repent, and all through life I will lament for the day I came to Grange. Young man, she said, your worries subdue, for since I find you really true, forever the same I'll be to you, through life I'll never change. And though I fail to get consent, still to be yours is my intent. So you have no cause for to lament, said the blooming flower of Grange. 1,000 thanks, my heart's delight, my sorrow you have put to flight. I will always bless this glorious night that brought this happy change. So come prepare and be my bride, near Wexford town I do reside, where the nuptial knot it will be tied to the blooming flower of Grange.
Well done. Right, finish this out with this one. It's another local one to us. The Coraclow boat race. It's about a boat race in 1827, it's nearly 200 years ago. It was obviously went down. The song was written by a fellow called Hayes. We don't know when it was written, presumably sometime reasonably close afterwards. And it was sponsored by the local gentry, and it kind of went down in the folklore. Boat races on the beaches were common, I'm told, by some of the older people around the place, up to about the 1950s. You'd have crews from different areas, and they'd race, around from a point to a point around a marker and back. And there was a lot of gambling on the beaches and fighting over the results and all that kind of stuff. And that went on till about the 1950s. But this was 1827 anyway. The song was kind of preserved by a man called, he's dead now, Paddy Donoghue, of the post office in Coraclow. Paddy Berry collected it from him back in the 80s. And I got it from Paddy Berry. Ye muses inspire with heroic fire the mind of your poet, that he might indite with mirth and with candour and poetic grandeur the brave county Wexford men's praises to write. We long shall remember the month of September 1827, when 6 boats did row for a prize they contended, but soon it was ended and carried the laurels to famed Coraclow. That the boats were matched equal you'll find in the sequel, and each boat was crewed by the pick of the men. Likewise in formation they made preparation to avoid litigation when the race would begin. With full satisfaction the men were in action, awaiting a signal that all had agreed. The boats were in motion when loud an explosion announced o'er the ocean that they might proceed. From Blackwater they started, but soon they were parted, for the Coraclow boys left them all in the rear. With courage undaunted, each man for fame panted, being equally anxious the laurels to wear. To the brook they rode valiant, stout, able and gallant, and back they rode swiftly without much delay. Our famous steam packet with her speed and her racket, they'd show her clean heels were she out on that day. It's not my intention each boat crew to mention, for to breed foul contention is not my design. But that Trojan race famous that was won by Pertunius, in my best opinion, was not half so fine. But to leave out those strangers, their actions and dangers, of the Coraclow boys I aim now to sing, the pride of Hibernia, those true sons of Grania, who with heroic valour the prize home did bring. To praise them sufficient, I own I'm deficient, and in no way proficient in poetic style. Oh, but were I a Homer, I'd count it an honour their fame to make known throughout Erin's green isle. Matt Murphy, whose courage was exalting and glorious, with skill and with judgment the helm did wield, like his ancestors numerous who oft were victorious, on land or on sea to the foe ne'er did yield. I am not unwilling to praise John and Willem, two more of the Murphys, both stout hardy boys. Likewise Thomas Carty, courageous and hearty, was one of the party who brought home the prize. Dick Neville was in it with Anthony Sinnott, both fully determined to conquer the foe, and likewise Mogue Doyle, who proved true
and loyal. Now these are the heroes from famed Coraclow. Of the resident gentry that dwelt in that country, the fame of young Turner outstanding does shine. But for his exertions, the envious assertions of mischievous persons would have us resign. He encouraged the boys to take part in the boat race, along with young Scallon and Ross, two good friends. They urged the boys to give of their best pace, and the Mary came first, and so the race ends. The boats that came second and third I won't mention. They gave of their best, but sure everyone knew they hadn't a chance, though they tried hard to tame them. They couldn't keep pace with the Coraclow crew. So rise up your glasses to all pretty lasses. We'll toast them in bumpers wherever we go, and we'll drink the full gallon in the house of young Scallon. Drink health to the heroes from famed Coraclow.
We'll have three more singers before we have a break. So I'll ask Brenda O'Riordan, Mary Kenny, and then Michael Kane.
I'd like to sing a song in memory of my brother Manus, who died suddenly in September. It's called Si mi quieres escribir. If you want to write to me, it's Gandesa is the address. My pronunciation is as good as Manus's, so just excuse me. Si mi quieres escribir, ya se... Sorry, it's too low. Sorry. Si mi quieres escribir, ya sabéis mi paradero. Si mi quieres escribir, ya sabéis mi paradero. En el frente de Gandesa, primera línea de fuego. En el frente de Gandesa, primera línea de fuego. Si tú quieres comer bien, barato y de buena forma. Si tú quieres comer bien, barato y de buena forma, en el frente de Gandesa allí tienen una fonda. En el frente de Gandesa allí tienen una fonda. En la entrada de la fonda hay Moro Mohamed. En la entrada de la fonda hay Moro Mohamed, que te dice pasa, pasa, que quieres para comer. Que te dice pasa, pasa, que quieres para comer. El primo plato que te dan son granadas rompederos. El primo plato que te dan son granadas rompederos. El segundo de metralla para recordar memorias. El segundo de metralla para recordar memorias. Si mi quieres escribir, ya sabéis mi paradero. Si mi quieres escribir, ya se ves mi paradero en el frente de grandeza primera línea de fuego. En el frente de grandeza primera línea del fuego.
It's not mandatory to stand up, is it? Dark, dark thy hills, O Donegal, that frowning darkly rise, as if to spite the mist that falls upon you from the skies. Dark, dark thy hills, and darker still thy mountain torrents flow, but none so dark as Moelwira's heart in his castle of Ado. Still fair thy plains, O Donegal, and calm thy winding streams, that gently flow through gorse and snow beneath your broad sunbeams. But neither stream nor meadow green nor flower upon the lea were half so mild as Moelwira's child, so sweet and fair was she. Still stout thy oak, O Donegal, and straight thy ashen tree, and swift and straight thy son so tall, our country's pride to see. But oak nor ash nor young men all that spring from Irish soil were not more stout, swift, straight, or strong than the chief of Clan O'Boyle. He was the pride of the upper side from the hills of Barnawar. For deeds of strength none equalled him from Fana to Gweedore, and he would go through the frost and snow on a merry Christmas day, amidst ringing cheers to hunt the deer from his fort in Gartland Bay. On his river boat the O'Boyle would float, a fishing he would go, with hook and line down by a stream that flows near Castle Doe. And in that castle's towers high his loved one did repine, and on its lofty battlements poor Ailish did recline. On the Bishop's strand 2 boats were manned to meet the rising tide, Moelwira there in chief command right cowardly did hide. And when O'Boyle his homeward course made by the Bishop's soil, he was waylaid and a prisoner made of Turlock Oak O'Boyle.
They took him to the castle in strong irons he was bound, and by Maelwira was confined to a dungeon underground. But in a short while after, inside the graveyard walls, 4 stalwart ruffians bore a bier draped in a funeral pall. Poor Eilish in her tower high beheld a dreadful scene. With deep amaze she cast her gaze upon the graveyard green. She saw the bier laid out beside the freshly risen soil. The pall removed, she then observed the features of O'Boyle. And with a scream she threw herself from the tower to the ground, where by her faithful waiting maids her body there was found. Now in a doe graveyard green, beneath the risen soil, Maelwira's daughter, she sleeps in death with her lock O'Boyle.
Oh, Peggy Gordon, you are my darling. Come sit you down upon my knee. Come tell to me the very reason why I am slighted so by thee. I'm so in love, I can't deny it. My heart lies smothered in my breast. It's not for you to let the world know it. A troubled mind can get no rest. I did put my head to a cask of brandy. It was my fancy, I do declare, for when I'm drinking, I am thinking and wishing Peggy Gordon was here. I wish I was away in Ingo, far across the briny sea, sailing o'er the deepest ocean, where love nor care never bothered me. I wish I was in some lonesome valley, where womankind cannot be found, where the pretty small birds do raise their voices,
and every moment a different sound. Oh, Peggy Gordon, you are my darling. Come sit you down upon my knee. Come tell to me the very reason why I am slighted so by thee.
Now, welcome back. Yeah, sorry, yeah. Back on this first one. Oh, good. Tom Dodd. Oh, he's gone. We're going to go. Welcome back, everybody. Frank Hart produced a great record of 1798 songs, and the first time I heard him sing, first year of Liberty, the first time I heard him sing this song was in Slattery's the Cape, the Tradition Club, and I remember the hair standing on the back of my neck first time I heard his song. In the year of 1798, oh, a sorrowful tale, the truth to you relate, of 36 heroes to the world were left to be seen, and by false information were shot on Dunlavin Green. Bad luck unto you, Saunders, bad luck may you never shun. Bad luck unto you, Saunders, you did our lives betray. You said a parade it would be held all on that very day. Oh, our drums they did rattle, our fifes did sweetly play. Oh, surrounded we all were, and privately marched away. Quite easily they led us as prisoners through the town. To be slaughtered on the plains, we were then forced to kneel down. Such grief and such sorrow were never before there seen, as the blood it ran in streams down the dykes of Dunlavin Green. There's young Matthew Farrell has plenty of cause to complain, and also 2 Duffys who were shot down on the plain. And young Andrew Ryan, his mother distracted did run for the murder of her own dear boy, her beloved eldest son. Bad luck unto you, Saunders, bad luck may you never shun, that the widow's curse might melt on you like snow all in the sun, and the cries of the orphans whose murmurs you cannot screen for the murder of their fathers all on Dunlavin Green. Some of the boys to the hills they are gone away, some more of them they are shot, and some are gone to sea. Mick Dwyer is on the mountain to Saunders owes a spleen for the murder of his brethren all on Dunlavin Green. Now, the next three singers are going to have Ken Fay, Fran O'Rourke, and then we're going to have Nellie Weldon.
I am a poor wayfaring stranger. I'm traveling through this world of woes. There is no sickness, toil, or danger in that bright world to which I go. I'm going home to see my father. I'm going home, no more to roam. I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going over home. I know dark clouds will harbor on me, and that my path is rough and steep. But beauteous lands lie just before me, and souls redeemed their vigils keep. I'm going there to see my mother and all my loved ones who have gone. I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going over home. I am a poor wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world of woes. There's no sickness, toil, or danger in that bright land to which I go. I'm going there to see my father. I'm going there no more to roam. I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going over home.
Thanks. Is this me? Oh, Lord. Oh, learning's a very fine thing, as also is wisdom and knowledge, for a man is as great as the king, if he has but the air of a college. And nowadays we must admit, in learning we're wonderful favoured, for you scarce o'er your window can spit, but some learned man is beslavered, sing faller all day. We'll all of us shortly be doomed to part with our plain understanding, for intellect now has assumed
an attitude truly commanding. All ranks are so dreadfully wise, common sense is now set to defiance. And the child for its porridge that cries will cry in the language of science, sing all day. The mason in book learned tone describes in the very best grammar the resistance that lies in the stone, and the power that dwells in the hammer. The son of the trowel and the hod is as proud as the frog in the fable, and he'll speak in a language as odd as his brethren, the builders of Babel, sing all day. The weaver it surely becomes to speak of his web's involution, for doubtless the hero of Thrums is a member of some institution. He'll speak of supply and demand with the ease of a great legislator, and almost can tell you offhand why the smaller is less than the greater, sing all day. The cobbler who sits at your gate now pensively points his hog's bristle, and the very same cobbler of late at his work used to sing and to whistle. But cobbling's a paltry pursuit for a man of polite education. His work may be trod underfoot, but he's one of the lords of creation, sing all day. The tailor in cutting his cloth will speak of his trades, and true conic section. No tailor is now such a goth, but he speaks of his trades genuflection. If you laugh at this bandy-leg clan, he'll think it unhandsome detraction, and stick out his chin like a man, though you know that he's only a fraction, sing all day. Oh, learning's a very fine thing, as also is wisdom and knowledge, yet many of whom that I sing perhaps would as well be without it. Without it my life I will pass, for to me it was ne'er worth $1. And I don't look like an ass by trying to sing like a scholar. Sing to prove the point. Sing all day. Let schoolmasters bother their brain with their dry and their musty vocation, but what can the rest of us gain by meddling with such botheration? Without it my life I will pass. Give me a hand there. We something about her generations before us, whose learning went round in a song, and whose cares were dispelled in the chorus, sing all day, singing all day. Try better next time.
As I went out walking one fine summer's morning, the birds in the bushes did whistle and sing. The lads and the lassies together were strolling, going down to the factory, their work to begin. I spied one among them, she was fairer than any. Her cheeks like the red rose that none could excel, her skin like the lily that blooms in the valley. She's my own Bonnie Annie, my factory girl. I stepped up beside her, more closely to view her. But on me she cast a great look of disdain, saying, young man, have manners, and do not insult me, although I am poor, sure I think that no shame. It is not to insult you, fair maid, I adore you. Please grant me one favor, tell me where you dwell. Kind sir, forgive me, for now I must leave you, for I hear the sound of the factory bell. I have land, I have houses, all covered in ivy. I've gold in my pockets, I have silver as well. And if you come with me, a lady I'll make you, and no more must you heed the factory bell. Although I love her, but still she won't have me, and all for her sake I must wander away. I'll wander away where no one will know me, and I'll die for the love of my factory girl. Sinead. Oh, lovely.
Now, our next three singers are Martin Drew, and then we're going to the second round with people singing. So Anthony Hanrahan is going to sing, and then Alison O'Donnell will sing. Martin.
Sometimes, no matter how comfortable you feel you are, sometimes it's hard to make ends meet. It's hard to keep the wolf in the door. I spent 1 year down in Kilrush, in Milltown another year more, till the bailiffs were chasing my shadow, and I left without settling the score. My time's in arrears, time's in arrears, taking all. Time's in arrears, as me father come married of yom. Well, I'll go in the sky to Inishtimon, and it's there that I lack the rake, till the hags with their beads in the corner, they be crying their tears for me sake. My time's in arrears, time's in arrears, taking all. Time's in arrears, as me father come married of yo. A priest good counsel he gave me for to go and buy warm clothes, but there's no use being warm on the outside when your belly is freezing with cold. My time's in arrears, time's in arrears, taking all. Time's in arrears, as me father come married of yo. I went down to the crosses of Anna, and I danced some steps in the floor. Went over to Gleason's of Cahor, where I swapped lies until 4. Mar time shina raise and a raise, time shina raise tigan knoll, time shina raise and a raise, it's me fada gamarits of yo. Now that is the end of my sad song, and if you want to hear more, just fill up my glass with black porter and put 3-6 nails in the door. My time shina raise and a raise, time shina raise tigan knoll, time shina raise and a raise, it's nae fada gamarits of yo.
I think we'll continue with an air of levity. My father and mother, they reared me right well, and I know that I listened to what they did tell, and not to feel bad if I am short taken, for each creature must do it if I'm not mistaken. Well, the food it goes in, and it has to come out. God ordained it so, and there's no man can doubt. In days past we left it anywhere on the land, or below on the beach there, all covered in sand. Then along came the Elson with colour deep blue, and the chemical killed off the smell of the poo. A hole it was dug, and the very next day we planted a pretty swearing it did lay. But progress is great, and of that there's no doubt. Paddy Joe was the first of the men hereabout. He dug a great hole 6 foot deep and 6 wide, and from that day to this never did it outside. Well, if one man can do it, then others can too, with the females all wanting a nice indoor loo. So it wasn't too long till each man around had rolled up his sleeves and dug a hole in the ground. Well, the builders, providers, they turned a few pound, with everyone wanting a tank in the ground. To get a new car, you must go to the bank, but some wavin and sweat got a fine septic tank. For me grandfather's birthday, we got a marquee, a contrary old git, but his family, you see, said he is a gosser we all let inside, and our own private business we did it outside. Can any man tell me what Phil Hogan drank? For he says that he wants to look into each tank. There's no way around it, said he with a sigh. With the new regulations you all must comply. So we're stuck in a quandary, so what can we do? The options we're left with, they surely are few. I can't put a cork in the opening, you see, and I can't tie a knot in the place where I pee. Then a good friend of mine came to see me one day, and he told me his cancer had all gone away. As happy as Larry going round with a bag, I don't have all your worries at me, he would brag. So a word with your doctor, and then HSE, a quick operation for a small fee. We'd all have our own bags to carry around, and nothing would flow to the tank in the ground. So here's the solution for all of you here to deal with the stuff that comes out of your rear. We'll all tell Phil Hogan to go take a jump, and we'll all go and empty our bags in the dump.
You missed the duck leave.
I'm afraid this isn't humorous at all. It's a bit sad. A drowning at sea. Roll and dash, you towering waves. Throw yourselves up high and down low. Bring to me my soaking lover before he drown in the deep below. Flowing tide on welcome tomorrow, it tells us that you slipped away. I hold in my mind your face so serene, and think on your likeness each passing day, and all the way around, as far as I see, the waters have landed his body to me. And when I return from the depths of my dream, he will be my drowned dearie afloat on the sea. His hands are clasped with no sign of a struggle, folded neatly on his snowy white breast. His suit of blue for the broken body, all laid out in his Sunday best. A salty crust lies over those hands, folded neatly on his snowy white breast, and his finger bearing my golden ring that I vow to wear on mine forever. And all the way around, as far as I see, the waters have landed his body to me. And when I return from the depths of my dream, he will be my drowned dearie afloat on the sea. And all the way around, as far as I see, the waters have landed his body to me. And when I return from the depths of my dream, he will be my drowned dearie afloat on the sea. He will be my drowned lover afloat on the sea.
So we'll have Eamon Hunt, Jerry O'Reilly and Brian O'Tumman.
Now after morning there comes an evening, and after evening another day, and after false love there comes a true love. I would have you listen now to what I say. My love, he is a handsome young man, as fair as any that the sun shines on. But how to free him I do not know it, since he's been sentenced for to be hung. As he was marched up through the streets of Derry, I'm sure he marched up right manfully. being much more like some commanding officer than a man to die upon the gallows tree. Now the very first step he took on that ladder, his bloom and colour began to fade, and with heavy sighing and bitter crying, is there no releasement from Derry jail? And the very next step he took up that ladder, his loving clergyman was standing by, saying, "Stand you back, you false prosecutors. I will let you see that he may not die. I will let you see that you may not hang him until his confession to me is done. And then you will see that you may not hang him till within 10 minutes of the setting sun. Where is my love? She's so long a-coming, and what detains her away from me? Or does she think it some shame or scandal for to see me die upon the gallows tree? He looked around and he saw her coming as she rode swifter than the wind. Come down from those weary gallows, for I bear your pardon all from the Queen. Come down from those weary gallows, I bear your pardon all from the Queen. And I will make them see that they dare not hang you, and I'll crown my love with a bunch of green.
Fran's brother Breen died last week, and he was mentioned well last Friday night at the Golding. This is another comic song written by another man who mentioned him last Monday at an event I was at, Confed of Driscoll. So it happens when unwanted percussionists join sessions. In the tavern one night we were sitting, I'm sure 'twas the last week in March. From our drinks we were cautiously sipping to ensure that our throats wouldn't parch. We played music both lively and decent to bolster our spirits and hopes, while we gazed at the females adjacent and remarked on their curves and their slopes. When this gent wandered into our session and decided to join in the tunes, Without waiting to ask our permission, he took out the big pair of soup spoons. Our teeth in short time we were gritting, as he shook and he rattled his toys, while the company's eardrums were splitting with his ugly mechanical noise. Hopping spoons off our heads to provoke us, he continued the music to kill, whether hornpipes, slow airs or polkas, they all sounded like pneumatic drills. Then he asked, could we play any faster, as his talent he wished to display, with a grin on the face of the bastard, like the cat when she teases her prey. Our thoughts at the stage were quite bloody, so politely we asked him to quit. We suggested a place in his body where the spoons could conveniently fit. This monster we pestered and hounded. We implored him with curses and tears, but in vain our appeals they resounded in the desert between his two ears. When I went out the back on a mission, he arrived as I finished my leak. He said, this is a mighty fine session. I think I'll come here every week. When I heard this with rage, I was leaping, and this torture no longer I'd take. So I looked round for a suitable weapon to silence this damn rattlesnake. Outside towards the yard I did sally to find something to vanquish my foe. I grabbed hold of a gentleman's rally with 15 speed gear and dynamo. Then I battered this musical vandal as I shouted with furious cries, my good man, your last spoon you have handled. Say your prayers and await your demise. With the bike I assailed my tormentor as I swung in the frenzy of hate, till his bones and his skull were in splinters and his health in a very poor state. And when I was no longer able, I forestalled any last-minute hitch by removing the gear-changing cable and strangling the son of a bitch. At the end of my onslaught ferocious, I stood back and I surveyed the scene. The state of the place was atrocious, full of fragments of man and machine. At the spoon's place remains I was staring. His condition was surely no joke, for his nose was stuffed up with ball bearings, and his left eye was pierced by a spoke. At the sight I was feeling quite squeamish, so I cleaned up and I went back inside. Then I drank a half-gallon of Beamish, as my throat in the struggle had dried. Unpolluted by cutlery's clatter, the music was pleasant and sweet. For the rest of the night nothing mattered but the tunes and the tapping of feet. At an inquest the following September, the coroner said, I conclude, the deceased by himself was dismembered, as no sign can be found of a feud. For the evidence shows that the fact is, as reported to me by the guards, he indulged in the foolhardy practice of trick cycling in public house yards. So if you're desperately keen on percussion and to join in the tunes you can't wait, be you Irishman, German or Russian, pay attention to his awful fate. If your spoons are the best silver plated or the humblest of cheap stainless steel, when you play them abroad you'll be hated. So just keep them for eating your meal. And Father O'Driscoll.
Magra huden keide kandal norn. It's hard to be makes me nu tra me mermon. A grog until Ilsake Sharks to station of an Erin. Avrinalene, sorry, I have to take it down, okay? Avrinalene Jasogus to station Mil Chapo. Gahun so aribio beg yawn a murt. Morris just Marion to the gown alum. I'll know a rune. Vi boeke gamjalak sheen ainly on ground. Svibu alke gadokashi on kerp for on moss. Vibu alke knock near she gramachris makade shark. Avrinalene jasogus to a shamil chapo. Gahun so arid bio beg yawn a murt. Mars just Mariolan to the gown alum. I'll know. On Jokatu no one to Eleanor Naroon no anon te nakanaku acquid until the store. Or a chuck mace niana mace matanoin ante nakanak me. Avrinalene jasogus to a station mil chapo. Gahun so arid bio beg yawn a murt. Mars just Mario to the gown alum. I'll know Maru.
We'll have one more singer before our guests come back on. So, Emmett Farrell, please.
Monday is Anzac Day, when they commemorate the Australian and New Zealand soldiers killed in various wars. And Eric Bogle wrote some very good songs about it. Wept and died. They told all the fine young men that when this war is over, in your country's cherished heart, they will cherish you forever. In Tobruk, Alamein, Buna and Kikoba, in a world mad with war, like their fathers before, the young men cursed and fought and wept and died. For many of the fine young men, all their wars are over. They have found peace. It's the peace that lasts forever. When the call comes again, they will not answer. They're just forgotten bones lying far from their homes as forgotten as the cause for which they died. Oh, Bluey, can you see now why they lied? Okay.
So we'll have Deirdre and Paul Tobin back to sing a few more songs.
I'm going to continue with the floral theme. This song is called I Wish My Love Was a Red, Red Rose, and not to be confused with the Robbie Burns one. I first heard this song on an album by Alton and thought it was a lovely song. There was one problem, it was only 3 short verses, and they were able to, have instrumental bits in between and stretch it out a bit, but as a song it was sort of insubstantial, So I was searching and asking people, and nobody seemed to know, And I was on YouTube one day, going down these rabbit holes that you go down, and here I came across a version of it by Tim Dennehy, and he had put in 3 extra verses into it. So I was thrilled, to say the least, So I actually met him in Clare a couple of years later, and I was thanking him for it. It was one of my favourite songs now, So I'll give it a go. I wish my love was a red, red rose, blooming in yon garden fair, and I to be the gardener of her I would take care. There's not a month throughout the year that my love I'd renew. I'd garnish her with flowers fine, sweet William, thyme and rue. I wish I was a butterfly. I'd light on my love's breast, and if I was a blue cuckoo, I'd sing my love to rest. And if I was a nightingale, I'd sing the daylight clear, and I'd sit and sing for you, Molly, for once I loved you, dear. The first time that I met my love was in the market square. The look that passed between us, and my heart and snare, but fate displayed its cruel hand, and we were forced to part. Farewell, my lovely Molly. You're my joy, my own sweetheart. For love it is a sharpened sword. It tears and tears apart. It brings great rhapsodies of joy. Still make your until night does fall. 'Tis better to have loved and lost than never loved at all. And Molly, I'm so lonesome now, without you all the while. I miss your lovely wish and cheer. I miss your gentle smile. Before I go to sleep at night, before my eyes I close, I pray that God may guide you right. You're my lovely Irish rose. And I wish I was in Dublin town and seated on the grass. In my right hand a jug of punch, and on my knee a lass. I'd call for liquor freely, and I'd pay before I'd go. And I'd roll my Molly in my arms, let the wind blow high or low.
Okay. Lantern Miller, Cian Gael Gala, Cian O'Amshire, the Hurt of War, Johnny Shoig. It's about a family who can't get into a workhouse during the famine, and they're trying to get relief, and they resort to praising the relief officer's Joyce, and they resort to praising his female companion, and so on. Anyway, Johnny Shoig. Sir Johnny Shoig, Tigmaghlor, Smetiachle dochas fui de yen, Maristo anreltolish, is brachte lochran, as mahul, ege tampel day. Stoblam ho ege stish glor, garlag mahuler rogo me. Achasocht Christo ergam relief, noga gaterike annalige heim. San loer
Snach me vis aus de gulchen schul. Ach ni word me fegre beyond loschen. Ach me van is me fashti vem fwindru. Tamachos escolta skjore fjante taderlja bryggjarte tjol. Savister joys tan war kauslan snillakkeron einjarnismo. Snach moran kluga walle chordna anad satan lanun schögelfried. Majestätisch brachte skevnem rasche non-morning star noire heilschien schi. Tan van rintin sigelag nalai sterne doch tuilam go wishi bos. Ach she fis anoder gerer marder shidlam maar nach will she postele Mr. Joyce.
Well, we couldn't come to the goal in without singing a Frank Hart song, so I'm going to try Sweet Laurel Hill. When the war had oppressed every nation with horror, bold Wellington he ventured his life on the main, for to pull down French tyrants and make them surrender. In defence of old Ireland I ventured the same. It was on that same spot where I first parted with Nancy. She said, dearest Jamie, you'll be true to me still, until you gain the victory and return from the slaughter. I will mourn round these valleys of sweet Laurel Hill. And when we landed in Spain, we were almost exhausted. We were tossed by the winds and the billows so high, and pursuing our foes over yon snowy mountains, where many brave heroes were obliged for to die. But at last we survived through the great heat of battle, and over yon mountains we fought with great skill, and our foes they lay bleeding in their gore all around us. But I smiled on all danger far from Laurel Hill. Our commander being brave and we all being stout-hearted, well, it's France, Spain and Holland know what we can do. For we pull down their batteries with the great guns of Britain, and left orphans to mourn upon distressed Waterloo. But now the war's over and all are returning, the trumpet's loud note it can rest for a while, and we gave up 3 cheers as we sailed for old Ireland, and that long-looked-for valley in the beautiful isle. And when we arrived by the lovely Banwater, there I spied my love by the side of a mill, near the leap of Coleraine, where I first parted from her, for to gain Britain's valour far from Laurel Hill. She appeared unto me like one dressed in deep mourning. I asked her the reason she ranged the banshore. She said, my Jamie's a soldier and all are returning, but my Jamie, alas, will I ne'er see him more. He has left me to wander these dark, gloomy valleys, where the wild fox and otter do sport with good will, and the trout finds its mate in the lovely Banwater, but I'll not find my Jamie around Laurel Hill. He said, I am your Jamie, your long-looked-for soldier, although my tongue's altered and I'm in disguise. Do you mind on old Kyle's flowery braes where we parted, when the trumpet's loud note called me off in surprise? Then she fell in his arms like one pale and distracted, and the tears trickled down like the dew from the thorn, and her eyes they invited each one that beheld her to welcome her long-looked-for soldier's return. And there we stood viewing the ships in yon harbour, the wild sporting angler whose aim was to kill the young trout as they played in the lovely Banwater, still adding more beauty to grace Laurel Hill. It is now to conclude I'll sing Wellington's praises, an undaunted hero and an Irishman still, for his name will be sounded when kings are forgotten, and ring round those valleys of sweet Laurel Hill. Now the joy bells of Ireland will ring and be merry, and great shouts of gladness fill each valley and plain. We will never more part, since we've now joined together in that need little cottage near the town of Coleraine.
Right, well, I'll go to the other side now and praise Bonaparte. Well, Bonaparte praising himself, really. Bonaparte's farewell to Paris. And I had a notion for a long time learning this, and I was, obviously, I'd heard it up and down, but I was listening to Frank Hart's recording, and it was funny, like, Frank Hart made it so completely and so brilliantly kind of his own. I kind of thought to myself, I'm not learning it from this because I'll only end up with a poor imitation or something, you know. So I went back to the dots in Terry Milan's book and went from there. But anyway. Farewell, you splendid citadel, the metropolis called Paris, where Phoebus every morning shoots forth refulgent beams, and where Flora's bright aurora is advancing from the Orient, with radiant light adorning the pure shining streams. At eve, when Cynthia does retire to where the ocean gilds like fire, and the universe stands to admire her merchandise in store, commanding Flora's fragrance the fertile fields to decorate, and to illuminate the royal Corsican once more upon the French shore. My name's Napoleon Bonaparte, the conqueror of nations. I have vanquished German legions and drove kings from their thrones. I have conquered dukes and earls and splendid congregations, but now I am transported to Santalina's shore. Like Hannibal I cross the Alps, the burning shores and rocky cliffs, over rushes, hills, through frost and snow, I still the laurels wore. Now I'm on this desert island, where the rats, the devil, they would affright. But still I hope to shine in armour bright through Europe's lands once more. Some say the cause of my downfall was the parting with my consort, for to wed the German's daughter it grieves my heart full sore. But the female frame I'll never blame, for they did never me disdain. When they saw my sword in battle flame, they then did me adore. But I severely felt the rod for meddling in the house of God. Icons and golden images by the thousand I tore down. I then stole Malta's golden gates, and the work of God I did disgrace. But if he grants me time and space, them to him I'll yet restore.
But now I'm in the Allied yoke, though with fire and steel I have made them smoke. I have conquered Dutch and Danish and surprised the Grand Seigneur. Conquered Austrians and Prussians, both Portuguese and Russians, like the great King Alexander and proud Caesar of yore. But my golden eagles were torn down by Wellington's allied armies, and my troops all in disarray, they were forced to quit the field. It was on that very afternoon, all on the 18th day of June, for lack of reinforcements, I was forced then far to yield. Exiled off the coast of Africa in the Atlantic Ocean, for to hear the wild commotion and the flowing of the tides. Banished from the royal throne of imperial promotion, from the royal throne of glory, for to watch the fishes glide. For 3 full days I stood the plain, freedom's cause for to maintain. Many thousands there I did leave slain, all covered in their gore. I never fled without revenge, nor to the allied armies cringe. But now my sword is sheathed, and Paris is no more.
So I'm going to finish now with a song that's normally sung at the very end of the night, so I hope you'll forgive me. And it's got a chorus. We're all here together. I think it's just very appropriate, so you can raise your glasses as well in the middle of it. So. Kind friends and companions together combine. Come fill up your glasses and toast them with mine. We will drink and be merry, good drinks and refrain. For we may or might never all meet here again. So here's a health to the company and one to my lass. We will drink and be merry, all out of one glass. We will drink and be merry, good drinks and refrain. For we may or might never all meet here again. Here's a health to the wee lass that I love so well. For style and for beauty none can her excel. She smiles on my countenance as she sits on my knee. Oh, there's none in this wide world as happy as me. So here's a health to the company and one to my lass. We will drink and be merry, all out of one glass. We will drink and be merry, good drinks and refrain. For we may or might never all meet here again. Our ship lies at anchor and ready to dock. May the Lord send her safely without shake or shock. And when we are sailing to the land of the free, I will never forget your great kindness to me. So here's a health to the company, and one to my lass. We will drink and be merry, all out of one glass. We will drink and be merry, good drinks and refrain. For we may or might never all meet here again. I have read the old proverb, I have read it so true. My love, she's as fair as the bright morning dew. I have read that old proverb, and I'm sure so have you. So, good friends and companions, I bid you adieu. So here's a health to the company, and one to my lass. We will drink and be merry, all out of one glass. We will drink and be merry, good drinks and refrain. For we may or might never all meet here again.
Thank you, Paul and Deirdre. What a wonderful set. There was a couple of tour de force songs there. Well done indeed. In the tradition of the club, the singer who sang first will sing last, and it's Maureen Cronin.
Mick Healy, don't go too far away. You may talk of your outings, your picnics and parties, your dinners and dances and hoolies and all. But wait till I tell you the gas that we had the night that we went to the Char Ladies' Ball. I went there as Queen Anne, and I went with me man. He was dressed as a monkey locked up in a cage. There was pirates and pirates and Hottentots and whatnots and stars that you'd see on the music hall stage. At the Char Ladies' Ball, people said one and all, "You're the belle of the ball, Mrs. Mulligan." We had 1 steps and 2 steps, and the devil knows what new steps. We swore that we never would be done again, be dad. We had wine, porter and Jameson. We had cocktails and cocoa and all. We had champagne that night, but we'd real pain next morning, the night that we danced at the Char Ladies' Ball. Oh, thank you. There were cowboys and Injuns coming from Drumcondra, a Francis Street ferry, all diamond and stars. There was one of the Roonies as the clock over Mooney's, and a telegram boy who with a message from Mars. Mary Moore from the Lots was the Queen of the Scots, with a crown out of Woolworths perched upon her dome. There was young Jimmy Whitehouse, came dressed as a lighthouse, and a Camden Street garbo that should have stayed home. At the Char Ladies' Ball, people said one and all, "You're the belle of the ball, Mrs. Mulligan." We had 1 steps and 2 steps, and the devil knows what new steps. We swore that we never would be done again, be dad. We had wine, porter and Jameson. We had cocktails and cocoa and all. We had rumbos and tangos, half sets and fandangos, the night that we danced at the Charladies' Ball. Mary Ellen O'Rourke was the queen of the dawn. By one torty she looked like a real torty night. What you call him, Aunt O'Farron, the bester, was dressed as a jester. He burst his balloon and dropped dead of the fright. Jimmy Barr came as Bovril stops that sinking feeling, astride of a bottle, pyjamas and all. But he bumped into Faust, who was gloriously soused, and the two of them fell down at the end of the hall. At the Charladies' Ball, people said one and all, "You're the belle of the ball, Mrs. Mulligan." We had 1 steps and 2 steps, and the devil knows what new steps. We swore that we never would be done again, bedad. We had wine, porter and Jameson. We had cocktails and cocoa and all. We'd a real stand-up fight, but we fell down to supper the night that we danced at the Charladies' Ball. Sinead.